Hey, yo everyone, Andrew here, bringing you another video review, and today we're going to be doing my comic load for the week. But before we get into the comic load, let's talk about that new, sweet, succulent Justice League trailer that just came out. Yesterday, the new Justice League trailer came out. We got to see little teaser trailers of each member, snippets here and there throughout the week, and then they, boom, landed on us face, neck, and chest with the whole entire trailer. Let me just tell you, the trailer was on point. Action, adventure, witty dialogue and comedy. It was fucking great stuff. You get to see a little bit of everyone. I have to say, the person that probably made out best in that trailer was Aquaman. How badass was Jason Momoa as Aquaman? We actually get to see him be Aquaman, not just like him walking very stoically or him just harpooning something in the water. We actually get to see him like show some character for Aquaman. And Aquaman has a little bit of Jason Momoa in there. He's not the Aquaman we all know and love, but he's still something that we can grow to love. He's like all rocker and badass, and the coolest scene was when he jumped on the Batmobile as it's going. He goes, "Yeah!" And he just looks at Batman. They both nod, and he jumps out and attacks the Parademon. Great fucking shit. On point. On point. So that's the trailer for that, and I did get to see the new Mighty Morphin Power Ranger movie. I was actually really impressed by it. It did better than I thought it was. I thought it was going to be just an okay summer popcorn flick, which I'll like because I like the Power Rangers. But, you know, putting that aside, it was actually a really good, fun story. And it took a lot of mythos from the Power Rangers. And they talked about the Zeo Crystal. I mean, that's pretty cool. And I know they talked about how they have movies set up. Like, they're really setting up for movies in the future. So I got to give credit where credit's due. It was a good movie. It's not the best movie of all time. No, I mean, it's like a 3.5 out of 5 stars, but there's nothing that's offensive about it. It's just a really fun movie. So I recommend going seeing it. With that said, we're going to get into our comic load and talk about the comics I read this week. If you want to, you can follow me on Instagram or Twitter down below. I tend to float towards Instagram more, but you can do one or the other, doesn't matter. And if you want to support this channel, you can go on Patreon, links down below, or just type in my name, Andrew Cutter, and it should pull everything up. Supporting this channel means that I can get better stuff here, like a better camera, maybe a mic, who knows. I want to make things better for this channel, so anything would be much appreciated. But let's talk about comics. But before we actually get into the comic load, let's talk about the comics I didn't get to this week. Either because I didn't have a chance or I'm behind on, and I'm behind all but Hellblazer. So I didn't get to Hellblazer this week, so won't be able to review that. Future Quest I'm so behind on, but I want to catch up soon. Buffy I'm starting to catch up on, but I'm still behind on. I have not started the Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Adventures, so behind on that. G.I. Joe, super behind. Ugh, like 12 issues minimum. And Batman 66 meets Wonder Woman 77. I have not started this yet. So those are the comics that I need to catch up on, and those don't matter right now. What matters is the comic load for this weekend. We might as well start where we always start, with just a little bit of Batman in our life, with Batman Detective Comics 953. There were two covers, and I took this cover because I thought it looked a little bit better, and it's kind of important to the story because something like this does happen. Basically, Batman is trying to help out Orphan, trying to help out Cassandra Cain with Lady Shiva, and because Lady Shiva is Cassandra Cain's mother. If you're new to comics, allow me to lay some knowledge on your face. Cassandra Cain is the child of David Cain and Lady Shiva. Now, whether you're talking about pre-New 52 or New 52 continuity, the story is relatively the same. Lady Shiva and David Cain had a deal. She gets knocked up, he keeps the kid, and he trains the kid to become the ultimate fighter because they read body language instead of verbally, instead of communicating with language. So, with that said, Shiva didn't give a shit. She just went on with her life, and eventually they come cross paths. Before the New 52, it was very dramatic, and it eventually ended up with Cassandra beating the shit out of Shiva. And this might be heading in that direction, but we don't know, because Cassandra's not even the main focus of Lady Shiva on this. Lady Shiva has some other focuses. Cassandra's kind of more of a side thing. So Batman confronts Cassandra, and he doesn't want her to go out, but obviously Cassandra's not taking any of that shit, so they have a little tussle, of which Batman doesn't even fight back on. Batwoman has a little tussle with the League of Shadows, and an unlikely ally comes in at the end to offer some help to Batman, or at least it seems like offering help. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. Detective Comics has been an on-point comic since the start of Rebirth, and this is no different. Drama, suspense, action, great art, great pacing. Like, there has not been a bad issue of Detective Comics since it started off. James Tynion, he's just knocking out of the ballpark. Recommend picking it up. Batgirl issue number 9. So this is continuing the Penguin's son story arc, and basically Barbara is having a lot of more personal issues in this story, with her friends, with her romantic life, and just in general with work and school. And that's kind of it kind of all ties together, but it's kind of the big focus of this. It's not so much about the Joker's, or not the Joker's, but the Penguin's son. However, Penguin does show up in the end of this, which does throw a monkey wrench into Barbara's plans. Good, bad, whether or not you should get it. This is definitely a better issue than the last few. I'm enjoying the Penguin's son of Penguin story arc. Not perfect stuff. I only recommend it if you're a Batgirl fan. If you're not a big Batgirl fan, then yeah, it is what it is. With that said, Batman Beyond issue number 6. So in this issue we get, I believe it's Karai, who is the assassin from Batman Beyond. I forget which episode it was, but she was basically a League of Assassins assassin. Duh. And I don't remember the episode that well because it's been a while since I watched Batman Beyond. But she's back here, and she's asking Commissioner Barbara Gordon, for help to call upon the Batman. And while this is going on, Terry is wrestling with the idea of not even being Batman, kind of giving it up and being himself. Pretty well-paced issue, and I'm liking the direction that this story is going, as well as I'm liking the direction that Batman Beyond has been going. Since the New 52, and particularly with Future's End, I didn't really care for Batman Beyond, because I didn't like how it was going, and it's still kind of confusing on where this stands continuity-wise. We know it's not in the mainstream continuity, we know it's in its own little separate branch of reality, but like, did the OMAC attack happen? Well, it's referenced, but did it happen the same way it happened beforehand? Exactly what is going on? Like, is the whole world ravaged and it's just Gotham, or is like stuff kind of shitty and Gotham just happens to be the least shitty town? And that's not a good thing if Gotham's the least shitty town. With that said, I do recommend picking this up. This is a good jumping on point because we're on a new story arc, and I don't think there's not too much you need to know, other than the fact that Bruce was missing for a while and Joker's possibly back. That's about it. I'll pick it up. With that said, and that just fell on the ground. That's not good. With that said, we're going to move on to TMNT, issue number 68. Pick it up. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you always have to pick up. Again, the Turtles are dealing with this secret government agency who's capturing mutants and turning them into weapons. They make an unlikely and uneasy alliance with Old Hob, which they've done before and never turned out well. Turtles is always a good book, and I always recommend picking it up. So with that said, must get. Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern Corps, issue number 17. I can't believe we're already on issue number 17. Like, these Rebirth books are just flying by. This issue focuses heavily on Kyle Rayner. And if you can tell from the cover of the comic, without giving too much away, Kyle becomes the Green Lantern again. I won't tell you why or how, or if he's happy about it or if he's not. But he becomes a Green Lantern. There's a point to it. We don't get the full revelation to the point, but he comes back and he's wearing his original costume, which is so 90s, but it's so nice. I mean, I grew up in the 90s and parts of the 80s, and Kyle Rayner was the Green Lantern at that time. Even though I'm more of a Hal guy and I've read more Hal than anything, I remember reading Grant Morrison's JLA and Kyle Rayner there, and it's just, his costume is so 90s, but it works out well. I always loved the gauntlets. I think that's the cool thing about it. But, again, this is a really fun issue, and it's also a nice jumping on point, too. Maybe have the previous issue or two beforehand, maybe issue 16 and 15. But this is a good turn of events. Nothing against Kyle being a White Lantern, and I don't really care either which way if Kyle's a White Lantern, a Blue Lantern, a Green Lantern. But it's kind of cool to see him back into his original thread. So pick it up. Moving on to Flash, issue number 19. You want to talk about emotion? We're going to get to here. Wally West finds out the truth about his father, about the Reverse Flash. And while this goes on, Flash, Kid Flash, and Captain Boomerang have to get out of the predicament they're in, basically being tied up and going to be shot down. While this goes on, there's a big revelation at the end for Wally, and I'm going to tell you the revelation isn't about his father. And in addition to that, a old Flash villain comes back, and is coming back with his pre-New 52 memories. So that's an important thing. Flash is a must-get this week. Pick up the last week's issue too, or last month's issue, but 18 and 19 are good places to start. Pick it up. Wonder Woman, issue number 19. Now, see, Wonder Woman has really been tough in the rebirth, and it's not that the stories are bad, it's just jumping back and forth is really confusing. It's rough to read. In saying that, this is a really fun issue, and I think this is starting to reset everything back, and the art is just gorgeous. I really like how Wonder Woman is drawn in this comic. That particularly jumped out at me, but there's a lot of good pictures of her. Like, she's Amazon-like and badass looking, but at the same time she's Wonder Woman. I think this does her new costume the best justice. But yeah, Wonder Woman is trying to find truth about Themyscira and her family and who's manipulating her, and oh my gosh, shit sucks. I'm interested in the story. I just wanted to be a little bit more cohesive. And this is definitely a comic that's going to read better in trade. And I'm going to pick up the trade just so I can read it and kind of get a feel of it. So we'll go from there. I don't know if I should recommend it or not. I should probably say wait till trade. Here's the big issue that I was going for this week. Superman Action Comics 976 for Superman Reborn, basically the final part of the story arc. And this has probably been the most important story arc for me in the New 52. And I'm going to take or Rebirth, I'm going to take a moment to talk about it. Since Rebirth, and I'm not going to spend too much time because I'm going to do an actual separate video talking about Superman Rebirth. Since Rebirth started, I was upset about how they handled Superman. Because it was like the mainstream Superman was killed off. They brought in pre-Flashpoint Superman, which I don't mind the concept of pre-Flashpoint Superman, married with a kid. Like, I can relate to that. That's the Superman I want. But at the same time, it's like, you're not really the real Superman. Or are you? Like, if you're not really the real Superman, like, then it's just like, why are you even here? Like, I get why DC's doing it, but like, why not make you the legit Superman? And if you make you the legit Superman, that means the Superman that I've been reading for 5 years, the New 52 Superman, like, it was a waste of time. But DC does a pretty good job in this, and basically what they do is both Supermen are the real Superman. It's the play off of an old 90s Superman story called Superman Red and Blue, in which Superman separated into two, which happened in this. Superman got separated into two, both equally the same thing. One in New 52 and one stuck in Convergence. At the end of this issue, they merged together, and because of this, the histories merged together. So you're going to get some of the New 52 history, and then you're going to get some of the pre-New 52 history. So they don't go into detail too much about it, but they give you this nice 2-page spread that shows you the Superman history, and then Superman gets a new costume, which Doug Mankey does a really good job at drawing it. I've seen it in a couple pictures, but this is a legit, probably pound for pound, one of the best Superman costumes. They handle it very well. But basically, the history is this. The New 52 stuff of his origins are still unclear. You get him coming to Earth, him wearing the T-shirt, him joining the Justice League and his New 52 costume, but at some point he eventually things were changed. Like, I'm not sure if he had a relationship with Wonder Woman, but he probably didn't, because he gets married to Lois early. They have a kid. John pops out. Superman dies at some point. Like, you really had to read the issue, and things are still unclear. But I think it was the best thing that could have been done for Superman. And I'm going to get into that a little bit more when I talk about Superman Reborn in general, and my thoughts on Superman in the New 52 and in Rebirth, because I have very strong thoughts both ways. And he's one of my favorite characters, so why shouldn't I? But this is the must-get, and this is going to be my pick of the week, so just know that up front. Really, really, really good issue. Very emotional, too. Captain America, Steve Rogers, issue number 14. I don't know who this woman is because I don't know Marvel that well, so I don't know if she's new or if she's not new, but damn, she's really loving that Hydra stuff. And she's basically, this issue is her getting Hydra villains together, or getting villains together to make a new Council of Hydra. I generally like this comic. I think they've been playing off the evil Hydra Captain America way too long, but I generally like this comic. I did not care for this issue. And I feel as though this issue can be skipped. You don't need to read it. I will probably pick up Secret Empire just for the simple plain fact that it's tying into what's going on in Captain America. I usually don't get too much Marvel, but I'll do it just so that I can see what happens to Cap. This is Teen Titans issue number 6, The Rise of Aqualad. That's basically what it is. Aqualad is brought into the DC universe, very reminiscent of his Young Justice look, which is good. Like, it's pretty much pound for pound Young Justice Aqualad. A few different things brought into it. His backstory is just a tad different, but for the most part, it's basically Young Justice Aqualad. Who happens to be gay, too, which is a good change for the character, because the character was introduced originally, because we have two Aqualads. We have Tempest, who was the original one, who's now on the Titans, and then we had this Aqualad, the second one, which I don't know if they said his real name in this, if it's Calidor or if it's something else, but, you know, he was shown up in Rebirth. Okay, Jackson, that's his name. But, anyways, he was shown up in Rebirth, but like, not Rebirth, Brightest Day, but he really didn't get too much going on in him. Like, he showed up and then he disappeared. So they probably whitewashed Brightest Day's origin for him, and now they're doing the origin here. And it's good change. And it's, I think, making him look like Young Justice Aqualad was a good idea. And I like the fact that he is gay. I think that adds to the character, especially with him coming to his own with his powers. So, on the whole, this is a great issue and a great jumping on point. Teen Titans has been really good since the New 52, and this issue is no different. Pick it up. Suicide Squad, issue number 14. This continues the betrayal of the Suicide Squad. Amanda Waller is dead. Deadshot betrayed everyone. That Hack is dead. Boomerang betrayed everyone, and Harley Quinn's out for revenge, and there is a special character that shows up at the end. I can't reveal too much more about this, but I've been enjoying Suicide Squad since the New 52 happened. I enjoy the rotating cast of artists. I'm not a big Ramadi Jr. fan. I like him on certain stuff, not so much on Suicide Squad, but in saying that, still solid stuff. And I think does this even have the preview? Let's see, because they're doing previews now of the next story arc, and Tony Daniels is drawing it. It's in some of these issues, not in this, but that looks really good too. So solid issue through and through, and I enjoyed the ending. We're getting towards the end. Just two more comics. Deathstroke issue number 15. He's blind as a bat. And we get to see more Power Girl in this. And you know what I think is funny? This comic, these two issues that Power Girl has been in, has done more for this character, has done more for Power Girl than her whole entire time on the Titans. This stuff is solid through and through. More and more stuff going on with the family, Deathstroke's family, with Jericho, with Rose, but I mean, it's just, this book is getting better and better with each issue, so this is definitely a must-get. And finally, Blue Beetle, issue number 7. I haven't talked much about Blue Beetle, and that's probably because I've been behind on it, and that's probably because I haven't cared as much about Blue Beetle. I like the characters, and I like the concept, you know, Jaime Reyes and Ted Cord working together, solid stuff through and through, but I don't know what it is, but I really didn't care about the comic. Maybe it's the art. Maybe it's just too dialogue heavy. But, that's Keith Giffen. That's what he does. But I think it works for certain characters. Like in Justice League 3000, Keith Giffen's laying it down there was really good with all the dialogue. And Justice League International back in the 80s, him laying on there worked out well. I don't think it works as well with Blue Beetle, but in saying that, this issue is a lot better than the last few. Jaime is kind of dead, but kind of alive, and his Scarab is attacking Dr. Fate. Well, a old character from the early 2000s show up. I'm not going to reveal who, but did show up, and they're getting into the fray, and then Ted Kord shows up, and he tries to help out, which is kind of cool. Ted actually is pulling his weight more than just a scientist. This issue was an okay issue. I'm not going to write home about it, even though I'm home, but it's an okay issue. I still don't know how I feel about Blue Beetle as a whole, because I'm a little underwhelmed by it, or maybe not underwhelmed, but just whelmed. A little Young Justice reference, but yeah. That's the comic load for the week. Like I said, my pick is Action Comics 976. Definitely must get. If you haven't watched the trailer for Justice League yet, watch it. I mean, I don't think there's any DC fan out there that hasn't seen it yet, and if you haven't, do yourself some justice and go out there and watch the Justice League trailer. It's kind of made a little pun there. And then finally, Power Rangers, good film. If you have a little extra money, go get it, go watch it, or wait for on demand or whatever it may fall on. But it would definitely be good for a rental, like a digital rental. But that is my comic load for the week. I'm sorry I didn't put up a Flash review for Duet. I might throw it in for this coming week's review with the Abracadabra episode. I got busy at work, but I'm going to do that review when I get a chance. And I'm just going to review Flash episodes for now, and then I'm going to do a season review for each of the DC shows, except for Gotham, because I'm like a season behind at Gotham. Last time I watched Gotham was when they blew up Azrael with a grenade launcher, or a rocket launcher, one of the two. With that said, I'm going to end this video here. This is Andrew saying peace out for now.